lahat. So again, this is Engineer Jom Digia and welcome back to my channel. So dito naman sa ating live stream ngayong gabi nito ay tayo po ay mag-Looksfam ng mga elements under subject machine design of mechanical engineering. So itong mga tanong na to usually lumalabas po sa board exam na always or madalas included under machine design. So sige, let's start. Number 1, yan. Heating above transformation range, usually 1300 degree Fahrenheit to 1350 degree Fahrenheit, and cooling slowly to soften the metal and increase in machining. So keyword mo dyan, yung naka-highlight, cooling slowly. Sagot dyan ay annealing. Okay? Next, heating above transformation temperature and quenching, usually in oil, for the purpose of increasing hardness. Sagot is hardening. Next, reheating to a temperature below the transformation range, followed by any desired rate of cooling to attain the desired properties of the metal. Sagot ay normalizing. Keyword is desired rate of cooling. Next, heating to a subcritical temperature about 1100 degree Fahrenheit to 1300 degree Fahrenheit and holding at temperature for a suitable time for the purpose of reducing internal residual stresses. Sagot is stress relieving. Next, heating to some 100 degree Fahrenheit above the transformation range with subsequent cooling to below that range still air at room temperature to produce uniform structure of the metal. Still air at room temperature ang keyword. Sagot is normalizing. Next, a machine tool used for producing holes in metal by the use of cutting tool called drill. Guys, keyword drill is drilling machine. Ang binanggit, a machine tool used, tapos may keyword na drill, drilling machine. Next, a machine tool used to form metal parts by removing metal from a workplace by the use of revolving cutter with many teeth. Keyword mo yung revolving cutter with many teeth, each tool having a cutting edge which removes each share of the stock, is called milling machine. Kasi yung keyword mo dyan, revolving cutter with many teeth, na pag-aralan naman natin yan sa shop work natin. So may idea na tayo dyan. Next, a machine tool used to sharpen or shape tools by using an abrasive wheel. Abrasive, yung keyword, tool grinder. Next, a machine tool used to enlarge a hole by means of an adjustable cutting tool with only one cutting edge. One cutting edge yung kanyang keyword. Sagot is boring machine. Tapos guys, yung keyword pang isa, enlarge a hole. Next, a machine tool used to cut metals part of light, medium, and large sections using a reciprocating hacksaw blade. Pag hacksaw blade, yung keyword mo, power saw. Next, a machine tool used to machine flat or plain surface with a single point cutting tool. Yan, flat or plain yung keyword, tsaka single point cutting tool. Sagot is shaper. Next, a machine tool yan used for production of flat surfaces or pieces too large or too heavy to hold in a shaper. Sagot is planer. Yung keyword dyan, too large or too heavy to hold in a shaper. Next, a machine tool used to finish internal or external surfaces such as holes or keyways by the use of cutter called a broach. Keyword yung broach, malamang broaching machine, which has a series of cutting edges or teeth. Next, an alloy of copper and tin. Ang sagot dyan, bronze. Okay? Napakasimple lang tanong na yan. Alloy ng copper and tin, ang sagot ay bronze. Next, an alloy of copper and zinc. Sagot dyan ay brass. Pag malilito, pag copper and zinc, brass. Balikan natin yung umpisa. Copper and tin, bronze naman. Okay? The process of forming metal parts by use of dies. Keyword is use of dies after the metal is heated to its plastic range. Sagot ay rolling. The process of forming metal parts by the use of powerful pressure from a hammer or press to obtain the desired shape after the metal has been heated to its plastic range. So, kayo lang bahalang gumawa ng keyword dyan para matandaan. Pero, forming metals by use of powerful pressure from a hammer. Pag ginamitan ng hammer or press, malamang forging. Next, a manganese steel containing approximately 0.20% carbon. Guys, keyword 0.20% carbon. SAE 1320. Or Society of Automotive Engineers 1320. Automotive or American yata, SAE. Kalimutan ko. A machine tool in which metal is removed by means of revolving cutter with many teeth. Inulit lang yung tanong. Revolving cutter with many teeth. Milling machine. A metal turning machine tool in which the work while revolving on a horizontal axis is acted upon by a cutting tool which is made to move slowly. Yung keyword mo, horizontal axis, tapos move slowly, naka-parenthesis yung feed in a direction more or less parallel to the axis of the work or longitudinal feed, lathe machine. Next, a machine tool used in the production of flat surfaces on pieces too large or too heavy or perhaps too awkward to hold in a shaper. Keyword is too heavy, planer. Next, it consists of shaping a piece by bringing it into contact with a rotating abrasive wheel. Sagot ay grinding. Rotating abrasive wheel ang ating keyword. Next, a tool used in measuring diameters. Anong sagot dyan? Caliper. Okay? Caliper. Used to true and align machine tools, fixtures, and works to test and inspect the size of trueness of finished work and to compare measurement, either heights or depths or many either measurements. Sagot is dial indicator. Ginagamit sa machine shop. Alam nyo na yan. Nakita naman na kayo yan ng dial indicator. Next, the ability of metal to be deformed considerably without rupture, guys. Sagot dyan ay plasticity. Okay, keyword without rupture. The shop term used to include the marking or inscribing, keyword marking or inscribing, of center points, circle, arcs, straight lines upon metal surfaces, either curved or flat, for the guidance of the worker, laying out. An operation of sizing and finishing a hole by means of cutting tool having several cutting edges, keyword finishing a hole. Sagot is reaming. Letter D. Next, the operation of making a cone shape enlargement of the end of a hole as for a recess for a flat head screw. Sagot is countersinking. Flat end screw ang ating keyword. Next, The operation of enlarging a hole by means of an adjustable cutting tool with only one cutting edge. Sagot is boring. Keyword, enlarging a hole, tsaka one cutting edge. Next, an imaginary circle passing through the points at which the teeth of the meshing gears contact each other. Imaginary circle, ang ating keyword. Sagot is pitch circle. Under ito ng gears. A type of bolt intended for use in bolting wooden parts together or wood to metal. It has a short portion of shank just underneath a round head which is designed to keep the bolt from turning in the wood when the nut is tightened. Sagot is carriage bolt. Bolting wooden parts ang ating keyword. Next, the number of teeth per inch of pitch diameter, and which gives some indications of the size of the gear teeth. Diametral pitch. Keyword, number of teeth per inch of pitch diameter. Next, the distance from the center of one tooth of a gear to the center of the next consecutive tooth measured on the pitch. Sagot is circular pitch. Under pa rin ito ng gears. Okay, keyword, center. Next, consecutive, tsaka pitch. The portion of a gear tooth that projects above outside the pitch circle. Above outside. Sagot is addendum. Pansin nyo, karamihan gears kasi yan medyo marami pagdating sa elements. Yan. The portion of a gear tooth space that is cut below the pitch circle and is equal to the addendum plus the clearance. Syempre, dedendum. Di man mabubuo yung clearance kung walang dedendum nakasali sa addendum mo. Keyword, below the pitch circle. When meshed gear, it is used to change rotary motion to reciprocating motion. Keyword, reciprocating motion. Gear rack ang sagot natin dyan. Next, a kind of gears used for heavy-duty works where a large ratio of speed is required and are extensively used in speed reducers. Guys, isa pang keyword dyan, used for heavy-duty works. Tapos, used in speed reducers, worm gears na yan. Okay? A kind of gears used to transmit motion from one shaft to another shaft at an angle to the first. At an angle, bevel gears. Next, the uniform heating of steel above the usual hardening temperatures, followed by cooling freely in air. Cooling freely in air ang ating keyword. Sagot is normalizing. Next, the operating of cooling a heated piece of work rapidly by dipping it in water, brine, or oil. Keyword is dipping it in water, brine, or oil. Quenching. Next, a method used in softening a piece of metal that is too hard to machine and is done by heating steel slowly above the usual hardening temperature, keeping it at the heat for 1.5 to 2 hours, then cooling slowly, preferably in a furnace. Keyword, cooling slowly. Sagot is annealing. The total permissible variation in the size of the dimension, the difference between the limits of size, alam natin yan. Ang sagot dyan ay tolerance. Kasi lahat tayo naka-experience na mag-actual sa machine shop. Next, the operation of machining the end of a workpiece to make the end square with the axis. Square yung ating keyword, squaring. Next, the clearance between the tooth profiles of a gear tooth. Yung clearance daw, ang sagot doon ay backlash. Syempre, backlash. Next, a mechanism which usually do the indexing in a machine tool. Keyword, do the indexing. Dividing head ang ating sagot. Next, a material that can wear away a substance softer than itself. Wear away or away ang ating keyword. Abrasive. A cylindrical bar of steel with threads formed around it and grooves or flutes running lengthwise in it, intersecting with the threads to form cutting edges. It is used to act internal threads. Or keyword natin dyan, internal threads. Sagot ay top. A set of gauges consisting of thin strips of metal of various thickness mounted in a steel case or holder, and is widely used for measuring and checking clearance. Keyword is thin strips tsaka clearance. Sagot dyan ay feeler gauge. A machine tool which is very similar to a shaper. So keyword similar to a shaper except that the ram reciprocates vertically rather than horizontally. Slatter. Next, a machine tool used principally to machine flat or plane surfaces with single point or keyword single point cutting tool. Shaper ang sagot dyan. Next, a kind of bolts which has no head and instead has threads on both ends. Keyword no head. Anong kind of bolt yan? Stud bolts. Next, a kind of chuck which has reversibly jaws which could be adjusted separately. Keyword separately. Ano ang sagot dyan? Independent chuck. So, part yan ng ating lathe machine. Next, a tool which, when pressed to a finished hole in a piece of work, provides centers on which the piece may be turned or otherwise machined. Sagot is mandrel. So, nakakita naman na siguro tayo ng mandrel. So, keyword, finished hole. Tapos, the piece may be turned or otherwise machined. Mandrel. A kind of chuck which should not be used where extreme accuracy is required. Keyword, extreme accuracy. Sagot dyan ay universal chuck. Next, the process of checking or producing checkers on the surface of a piece by rolling checker depressions into the surface, malamang knurling. Knurling ang sagot dyan. It fits to the main spindle of the lathe and is so called because it acts as a bearing surface on which the work rests. It revolves with the work. When compared with the hardness of the dead center in the tailstock, it is usually soft and is so made since it does no work. Sagot dyan is live center. Next, a gripping device with 2 or more adjustable jaws set radially. Keyword gripping tsaka adjustable jaws. Sagot dyan ay chuck. Part pa rin siya ng ating lathe machine. Next, steel ball for ball bearings are manufactured by. Keyword steel ball. Sagot dyan ay cold heading. Addendum of a cycloidal gear tooth. Keyword addendum. Ano ang sagot dyan? Epicycloid. Next, in a lathe, it comprises the main spindle, the necessary mechanism for obtaining the various spindle speed, and also certain gears which are used to operate the quick change gear mechanism, headstock. The process of heating a piece of steel to a temperature within or above critical range and cooling rapidly. Sagot dyan ay hardening. Keyword cooling rapidly. Next, welding operation in which a non-ferrous filler metal melts at a temperature below that of the metal joined but is heated above 450 degrees Celsius. Below yung ating keyword, tapos above 450 degrees Celsius. Sagot dyan ay brazing. Fusion process in which the metal is heated into a state of fusion, permitting it to flow together into a solid joint. Flow. Electric arc welding. Next, joining metal by means of high current at low voltage. During the passage of current, pressure by the electrodes produces of forged weld. Keyword electrodes, resistance welding. A device for accurately measuring diameters. Keyword accurately, tsaka mini-measure niya is diameters. Sagot dyan ay micrometer. A group of steel strips for measuring clearances. Okay, keyword again, measuring clearances. Feeler gauge. Next, uniting two process of metal by means of a different metal which is applied between the two in molten state. Keyword uniting two process saka molten state. Soldering. Next, a hand tool used to measure tension on bolts. Keyword tension on bolts. Torque wrench. Next, a hand tool used to measure engine crank web deflection. Keyword crank web deflection. Distortion gauge. Next, the permissible variation in the size of a dimension. The difference between the limits of size, permissible variation tolerance. The gear with teeth on the outer cylindrical surface. Sagot dyan ay, keyword natin outer cylindrical surface, external gear. Next, the diameter of a circle coinciding with the top of the teeth of an internal gear. Keyword internal gear. Internal diameter. Next, a circle coinciding with a tangent to the bottom of the toothpaste. Keyword bottom. Root circle. Under pa rin ito na ang ating gears. Okay? Next, the total depth of a toothpaste equal to addendum plus dedendum. Total depth total depth of a toothpaste, whole depth. The depth of toothpaste below the pitch circle. Keyword below the pitch circle. Sagot yan ay dedendum. Next, yan, the blank of gear teeth to each millimeter pitch diameter. Yan, diametral pitch. Keyword pitch diameter. A machine tool used in which abrasive wheel, again keyword abrasive wheel. Ano kaya yan? Is used as cutting tool to obtain a very smooth finish. Inulit lang yung tanong kanina. Grinder. Iniba lang ang sentence. Basta matandaan mo yung keyword dyan, abrasive wheel. Grinder kagad yan. Next, it is used to produce a variety of surface by using a circular type cutter with multiple teeth. Sagot dyan ay milling machine. Multiple teeth ang ating keyword. Next, it is used principally to machine flat or plane surfaces with a single point tool. So, single point tool, ang ating keyword, shaper. Next, cutting a hole by means of rotating tool of the work may revolve and to the tool remain fixed as in the lathe. Keyword hole, boring. One of the following is not a tap used for cutting threads in holes. Keyword not a tap. Ano kaya yan? And I, tapping tap. An index or dividing head. Keyword natin dyan is yung ating dividing head. Ang sagot po dyan ay used to rotate the work. Next, galvanized iron is a term referring to iron coated with, keyword mo dyan, galvanized iron. Sagot dyan ay zinc. Next, the moment of inertia of a rectangle whose base is B and height h about its base is, keyword mo dyan, about its base is, sagot natin dyan, bh cube over 3. Next, in usual spar gearing, yung ating keyword dyan is spar gearing. Meron kang mga set of choices dyan. Ang sagot mo daw dyan ay, tooth outline are usually involute curves. Next, a stainless steel is made principally by the use of the following alloying element. Keyword mo, stainless steel. Sagot dyan ay chromium. Next, one of the following is not a common term relating to the classification of fits. Keyword, not a common term. Sagot yan ay bound. Next, herringbone gears are which? Yung herringbone gears daw, alin daw dyan ng meaning niya? Siya ay, sa letter B, have a line of contact between the teeth. Next, internal stresses existing in a welded connection. Keyword mo, internal stresses. Ang sagot mo dyan ay, are not relieved when the weld is pinned. Next, in general, the design stress and factor of safety are related as follows. Ang yung keyword, design stress and factor of safety, ano ang relationship ng dalawa? Siyempre, sa letter B yan. Design stress is ultimate stress divided by the factor of safety. So, napakadali ng tanong na yan. A group of thin steel strips for measuring clearances. Inuulit ko, thin steel strips. Paulit-ulit lang na tanong sa board exam yan. Sagot yan ay feeler gauge. Keyword mo dyan, thin steel strips. So next, a hand tool used to measure tension. Inulit lang. Hand tool na ginagamit pang measure ng tension sa bolts. Sagot yan ay torque wrench. Next, a material that can wear away a substance softer than itself. So ang keyword mo dyan, wear away or softer than itself. Sagot yan ay abrasive. Okay? Next, the material used in high-speed processes. Ang keyword mo, high-speed processes or high-speed. Sagot yan ay high-speed metal. Next, an alloy of copper and zinc. Keyword mo, copper and zinc. Sagot yan ay brass. Inulit lang yung tanong kanina. Ito ba? Inulit lang din. An alloy of copper and tin and small amount of phosphorus. Guys, copper, tin, tsaka small amount of phosphorus. Sagot dyan ay bronze. Next, the process of working metals by the application of sudden blows or by steady pressure. Keyword, steady pressure or pressure. Sagot dyan ay forging. Next, a welding operation in which a non-ferrous filler metal melts at a temperature below that of the metal joint but is heated above 450 degrees Celsius. Keyword din dyan guys na isa 450 degrees Celsius, yung above, heated above. Tapos, at a temperature below that of the metal joint, ang sagot is brazing. Next, the operation of cooling a heated piece of work rapid by dipping. Dinidip daw siya sa tubig, brine or oil. Sagot yan ay quenching. Next, a machine tool used to measure flat surfaces. Keyword, flat surfaces. Sagot yan ay shaper. Next, a machine tool in which an abrasive wheel, keyword abrasive wheel, is used as a cutting tool to obtain a very smooth finish. Isa mo pang keyword dyan, very smooth finish. Guys, pag binabanggit sa tanong, yung abrasive wheel, tapos may very smooth finish ka, sagot dyan ay grinder. It is used to produce a variety of surface by using a circular type cutter with multiple teeth. So, circular type cutter, ginagamit with multiple teeth. Keyword mo dyan, multiple teeth, milling machine. Next, a heavy rotating body which serves as reservoir for absorbing and redistributing kinetic energy. Keyword, absorbing and redistributing kinetic energy, flywheel. Okay, next, a kind of gear used for heavy duty works where a large ratio of speed is required and are extensively used in speed reducers. Sagot dyan ay worm gear. Okay? Next, a kind of gear used to transmit motion from one shaft to another shaft at an angle to the first. Keyword mo, angle. Sagot dyan ay bevel gear. So guys, puputulin kong live stream na to, siguro 8 PM kasi ako ay magpe-prepare para pumasok pa sa work. So, continue natin yung live stream bukas ng ating pag-Looksfam ng ating machine design. So, sige, habang may oras pa, continue tayo. The minimum thickness of steel members exposed to weather and accessible for painting. Okay, minimum thickness or thickness ang ating keyword. Accessible for painting 10 mm. Next, the common deoxidizer and cleanser of steel, forming oxides and sulfates that are carried off in the slag. Keyword mo, deoxidizer and cleanser. Sagot dyan ay manganese. Next, a highly transparent and exceedingly hard crystalline stone of almost pure carbon. Yung keyword mo dyan yan naka-highlight na kulay dilaw. Sagot dyan ay diamond. Next, a fine-grained salty silica rock used for sharpening edge tools. Keyword, sharpening edge tools. Sagot dyan ay oil stone. Next, an amorphous solid made by fusing silica with a basic oxide. Keyword, basic oxide. Sagot mo dyan ay glass. Okay, we have 3 minutes left. A soft yellow metal known since ancient times, a precious metal which all material values are base. Precious metal ang ating keyword. Sagot dyan ay gold. Next, the operation of cooling a heated piece of work rapidly by dropping heat in water, brine, or oil. Keyword mo dyan, water, brine, or oil. Syempre, sagot dyan, quenching. Inulit lang yung tanong kanina. Next, a device used to prevent leakage of media. Keyword, prevent leakage. Tapos, media. Sagot dyan ay seal. Prevent leakage. Next, a welding operation in which a non-ferrous filler metal, inulit lang, melts at a temperature below that the metal joint but is heated above 450 degrees Celsius, brazing. Next, the process of working metals by the application of sudden blows by a steady pressure. So, steady pressure. Sagot dyan ay forging. Next, the process of producing a variety of surfaces by using a circular type cutter with multiple teeth. Multiple teeth ang ating keyword. Sagot dyan ay milling. Okay? The softening of metals by heat treatment and most commonly consists of heating the metals up to near molten state and then cooling very slowly. Keyword, very slowly. Annealing. Next, the maximum stress induced in a material when subjected to alternating or repeated loading without causing failure. Induced yung ating keyword. Sagot dyan ay endurance limit. Next, the total deformation measured in the direction of the line of stress. Keyword mo dyan, total deformation, tsaka stress. Ang sagot dyan ay strain. Next, the maximum stress to which a material can be subjected without a trace of any permanent remaining upon a complete withdrawal of the stress. Keyword mo, maximum stress, saka without a trace. Ang sagot yan ay elastic limit. Next, the total permissible variation in the size of dimension. Okay, inulit lang. The difference between the limits of the size. Sagot yan ay tolerance. Fluid film desired between two surfaces having relative sliding motion. Keyword mo, fluid film. Ang sagot yan ay lubrication. Okay, so it's almost time. Continue natin bukas guys ang ating live stream ng ating machine design elements. So again, this is Engineer Jom Digia. Nawa makatulong ito pag-Looksfam natin ng mga elements. Maraming salamat sa panonood and God